In this tutorial, I will cover the essentials of the speech analysis view panel, which is the view panel that connects functions for speech analysis that are connected to the Praat software program. So the first thing I'll do is bring up speech analysis into view. And because it's quite a fancy interface, what I'll do as well is I will expand my view by clicking on one of these buttons to make the view unobstructed by other view panels. So what we can see in the speech analysis interface is a series of buttons, and perhaps the most important ones are the ones on the right hand side, but I'll begin with the ones on the left hand side. Function to play the segment, to export the sound clip. So if you have a big recording but you want to export a clip for it, you have this function built into here. These are buttons to set your views, zoom in, zoom out, and reset the view for the spectrogram. And the three main areas of your view panel can be expanded depending on your needs. So if we focus on the spectrum menu first, what we can see is that we have functions that very much look like those of Praat. You can set your spectrogram settings, for example, to a different set of specifications. So here I moved from a wide band spectrogram to a narrow band spectrogram, which can be useful for visualization. And here we have a series of functions that, again, here are all related to Praat, in that we can, for example, select a word and get its duration, or we can select a given phone using the text grid and get, for example, format listings from it. So everyone user used to Praat functions will find themselves at home here. So we have duration, formants, pitch, intensity, and we also have access to analysis for spectral moments. The second button relates to how Fawn deals with Praat text grid, and also how Fawn can be used to generate text grids, or to, and the flip side of that would be starting with a series of text grids to create records, Fawn records from the text grids. And the way you need to think about this is that in the Fawn data structure, the text grid is typically saved next to the WAV file, whereas the Fawn data that contain those transcriptions are saved within Fawn files. And so this interface here helps you manage those relationships. And so you can, of course, show the text grid or not. You can have multiple text grids for a given transcript. Here we have only one, but we could add an existing one, or we could generate a new text grid. You know, if you wanted, for example, to run two different types of analyses on the same speech sample, and another display option. You can show the TIA labels or not. And but perhaps most importantly is the connection between this text grid you see here and the one in Praat. So in the current version of Fawn, as a way to make sure that we're not stealing away from the Praat group, so from Paul Boersma and his colleagues in developing Praat, what we have is a built-in system whereby if you want to edit the text grid here, you have to have Praat installed on your computer. So the way you go about editing the text grid is you can have your current text grid here, the current record within the text grid, and you have to make sure that Praat is loaded in memory. So Praat here is opened in my on my computer. And so what I can do here is I can use the text grid menu and do and open my text grid in Praat, right, which will lock it in Fawn. You can see this here. The text grid is locked. The text grid is locked in Fawn, and here using Praat, then you can modify the text grid. Here, what I will do, just for exemplification, is I will expand the last syllable here to something that is a bit exaggerated, but that will enable you to see the change. And thanks to Paul Boersma, Pratt now is equipped with an option within the file menu that enables you, once you've changed your text grid to what you need, then you can send back your change to the calling program. And the calling program in this particular case is Fawn. And here what you get is the text grid updated with this next super long final syllable that I've just created for exemplification purposes. So if I want to revert that, I can always go back and edit my segment within Pratt and bring my selection to something a bit more reasonable. And again, here, use the file menu and send my updated text grid to Fawn. So this completes this demonstration here, in that this tutorial is not about performing analyses or acoustic analysis within Fawn. This is something that will be the topic of a later tutorial, but right now it's enough to give you a sense of what the interface is, and also what how this interface connects to the Pratt software program.